Hi, this is Dr. Adrian Tenerife Sacristan, and welcome to our online classroom at Kuya Prof TV. Our topic today is about the impact of culture, ethics, and norms in global business. Okay, before we proceed, let's talk about first the objectives of this lesson. After studying this lesson, you should be able to, number one, define what culture is and articulate its two manifestation, language and religion. Discuss how cultures systematically differ from each other and understand the importance of ethics, the ways to combat corruption, and identify norms associated with strategic responses when firms deal with ethical challenges. Participate in 3 leading debate on culture, ethics, and norms. And lastly, you should be able to draw implications for action. Okay? It is already proven that many times that culture impacts how values of people influence the concept of how business being carried out. Each individual is influenced by the values he believes in, social programming, and experiences he or she has observed since childhood. These factors collectively influence every individual so as business operations because they run and manage these businesses. In this lesson, you'll be able to learn and you'll be able to discuss more deeply how culture impacts business in global scene. Okay? So, now let's proceed to our main topic about culture. What is culture? Culture is defined by Merriam-Webster as the customary belief, social forms, and material traits of a racial, religious, or social group. It also refers to the characteristics, features of everyday existence such as diversion or a way of life shared by people in a place or time. According to the observation of experts in a global business, cultural sensitivity is very important. The fact that companies in growing in almost every part of the globe, even the small business, have an equal opportunity in terms of accessibility. In the global market, okay, multinational and cross-cultural teams are becoming more common. This situation proves that it is really critical today than before for business people to recognize the culture of their foreign market if they desire to thrive internationally. Okay? In a business point of view, culture is connected to what behavior is ordinary and accepted competently in one place compared to another. In the Philippines, for instance, what may be acceptable business practice in our country may be very different from the approach that is used by businesses in other countries. Therefore, we have to consider how culture can affect our business, okay? And we must understand this in order to avoid misunderstanding between and among business people in the globe scene or global scene. Okay, you can see in our PowerPoint here the 3 most important aspects of cultural practices to consider in dealing with international clients. Number 1, communication. Communication is very important. If there will be a conflict in understanding each other, that is because of a problem in communication. Communication plays an important role in international business as well as in our individual activities, okay, day-to-day activities. And sometimes effective communication can be the difference between succeeding or failing in a new market. Effective communication is particularly important for international businesses as there is a risk of your message getting lost in translation. There are several things that need to be considered when looking at how effective your business communication is at an international level. So, aside from communication, as I mentioned a while ago, it would really affect the way you interact with your clients, with your customers. The next is attitude. Okay? Attitude, according to experts, it differs from culture. Okay? From people, because they have different culture. Okay? Experts believe that different cultures have different attitude towards business. The Filipino have different attitude towards business as compared to our Japanese counterpart and Chinese counterpart. Okay? For instance, in Sweden, social equality is given more importance. That is why they have a relatively flat organizational hierarchy. Okay? As evident, information approach to communication is at the heart of their organization. In Japan, on the other hand, their traditional values of relative status and respect for seniority are very much manifested on how they run their organizations, and there is a very clear organizational structure. Okay? So, we really have different perspective because of our cultural background. Now, the next is etiquette. According to www.health.edu, an international business, okay, when you are communicating with colleagues and clients from different cultures, experts suggest that the formality of address is key to consider. But it differs across the globe. Americans, for instance, they usually use first names. On the contrary, in China, seems to prefer the latter. If you think that formality of address may not seem that important, but you must remember that if you get off on the wrong foot with a potential foreign client, then that could ruin your chances of ever working with them in the future. Okay? So be careful. Be careful with how you deal with people with different background. Okay, another is norm. A norm is an authoritative standard or a principle of right action binding upon the members of a group and serving to guide, control, or regulate proper and acceptable behavior. Another thing to consider is ethics. Ethics is the discipline dealing with what is good and bad and with moral duty and obligations. In addition, it is also a set of moral principles or regulate proper, it is also a set of moral principles and a theory or system of moral values. Okay, now let's consider the point of view from IB Business Journal. According to this journal, international business deals not only cross-border, they also cross cultures. Culture profoundly influences how people think, communicate, and behave. It also affects the kinds of transactions they make and the way they negotiate them. Differences in culture between business executives, for example, between a Chinese public sector plant manager in Shanghai and a Canadian division head of a family company in Toronto can create barriers that impede the negotiating process. Okay? Now, that is according to IB Business Journal. According to IB Business Journal, there are framework to consider when dealing with international business. In this framework, there are top 10 ways that culture affects international negotiations. Okay, let me read the 10, okay, ways that culture affects international negotiation. Number 1, negotiating goal, contract, or relationship. You have to choose between contract or relationship. That is the things that you have to consider when you are trying to negotiate. Number 2, negotiating attitude, win, lose, or win-win. So I suggest you have to look for a win-win solution to a problem when you're trying to negotiate. Number 3, personal style, informal or formal. Now, as I mentioned a while ago, it depends on the culture of the people you are trying to talk to. Okay? If they prefer and they are giving more importance on their, uh, organizational structure, be formal. But if they don't, be informal. Okay, number 4, communication, direct or indirect. In Sweden, for example, they have flat organization. I think they much prefer indirect, okay, or direct because that is flat, okay. But for a tall organization, they prefer indirect communication. Okay, sensitivity to time, high or low. So it depends. People value time, so consider that. Okay, number 6, emotionalism, high or low. You have to consider the emotion of each individual that you're talking with. Okay, be careful to touch their ego because that would somehow affect the kind of relationship that you'll be that you're trying to establish with them. Number 7, form of agreement. Is it general or specific? Again, consider that. Building an agreement, bottom up or top down. Okay. Number 9, team organization, one leader or group consensus. Okay. There are organizations that are considering only one leader, so they can make any decision based on the decision of the leader. But there are also organizations that they have to consider the consensus, the suggestions of all members of the organization. So consider that. Number 10, the last is risk-taking, high or low. Are they really willing to take risks or not? So consider those 10 ways on how culture affects your negotiation with your prospect clients or business partner. Okay? So, IB Business Journal suggests that when you face with a risk-averse counterpart, the following are few steps to consider before you proceed. Okay, this is very good suggestions coming from IB Business Journal. Okay, let's consider this few steps when we are trying to deal with risk-averse counterpart. Number 1, don't rush the negotiation or negotiating process. A negotiation that is moving too fast for one of the parties only heightens that person's perception of the risk in the proposed deal. So don't rush everything. Okay. Number 2, devote attention to proposing rules and mechanism that will reduce the apparent risk in the deal for the other side. Number 3, make sure that your counterpart has a sufficient information about you, your company, and the proposed deal. Okay? So don't hide anything to them. Be open as much as possible. Focus your efforts on building a relationship and fostering trust between parties. And lastly, consider restructuring the deal so that the deal proceeds step by step in a series of increments rather than all at once. Okay? Little by little. So, I hope you learned something today from our lesson. And if you learned something, please do share this channel to your friends whom you think they also need this kind of information. Because this channel, this particular series, is actually devoted to those students who are taking up course, the International Business and Trade Management. Okay? Please do not also forget to like and subscribe to my channel so that you'll be notified, okay, every time that I upload a topic about international business and trade management. Of course, do not forget to click that bell button below so that it will automatically inform you if there will be new video uploaded by Kuya Prof on this classroom, online classroom. Okay? Once again, thank you very much for listening, for watching. If you have questions and comments, please just type the comment below in the comment box so that I could respond to you, okay, as soon as I read all your comments. Okay, once again, this is Kuya Prof, okay, inviting all of you to subscribe. Thank you. See you on our next lesson.